Hi, this is Jill. Welcome to the Life After podcast, where we talk about moving from surviving to thriving. This podcast is for anyone who wants to learn, grow, to get tips and tricks about how to inspire you to become the person you want to be, and get clarity about exactly what you want in life. This is also the place to be if you want to be lifted up and encouraged to go out and do great work in the world. What has happened in your past does not have to define who you are today or who you become in the future. And in fact, what has happened to you in the past should, can, and will shape who you want to be. This podcast is also about bringing people together. It's about connecting all of you, helping you identify where you are in your process. What do you need to feel more engaged and alive in your life? More connected to the people in your circle. This is a community of those who are looking to improve our world in the way that is most meaningful to them. Why is this important? Because how we show up really matters. Bringing more service, kindness, and love into the world is vital right now. Only in the darkness can you see the stars. Martin Luther King Jr. Hope is the only thing stronger than fear. Unknown. What am I trying to cultivate is not blind optimism, but radical hope. Junot Diaz. Hope is passion for what is possible. Soren Kierkegaard. It's your reaction to adversity, not adversity itself, that determines how your life's story will develop. Dieter F. Uchtdorf. Last season, we talked about hope theory in our hope episode. It was an important episode because it helps us understand, through all the research, the elements of hope and how hope really works in our lives. Hope seems so ephemeral, so hard to describe and explain. I did a fair bit of research for this episode, and I never seemed to ask quite the right question for the answer I was looking for. It's like we all know what hope is, and yet there is a quality to it that's hard to decipher and therefore express. We've all seen it, but can we validate or confirm it? I think one of the reasons for this is because so much of our hope is internal. When we remember the three elements of hope, goals, agency, and willpower, they're all internal processes that we practice. The outside world sees the results of our high levels of hope. It sees the successes of our results. It sees the kindness from our high hope. It sees the resilience that comes from high hope, not the hope itself. And yet, we feel hope from others. We must be able to, because as we discovered in last season, episode 14, hope is contagious. In this episode, we're going to dive a little deeper into the unseen part of hope and notice ways it can help us during difficult moments in our lives, as well as how we can reach out to others when they need our hope to help pull them through. To revisit, the basic dictionary definition of hope is the feeling that what is wanted can be had or that events will turn out for the best. However, a better definition of hope comes from the book Hope Rising and is based upon the science of hope. It is, quote, hope is the belief that your future can be brighter and better than your past, and that you actually have a role to play in making it better, end quote. According to Gwinn and Helllman, they're the authors of Hope Rising, in every single published study on hope, It is the number one predictive indicator of well-being. Hope is also a substantial protective factor against stress, trauma, and the effects of adversity, and is seen as a requirement for both short and long-term mental health recovery. Gwinn and Helllman go on to say that the predictive power of hope in a person's life is greater than any other character strength. These are really big claims, I know. Thankfully, just like Gwinn and Helllman state, there is tons of research that backs this up. I encourage you to get their book and read more on the research behind the science of hope. Hope is your lifeline. When everything seems dark, rely on it. Lean into it. Always practice ways to strengthen higher levels of hope. It's critical that we focus on maintaining hope, particularly when we are or have experienced significant stress, trauma, or the effects of adversity. Just like we've discussed about mindset again and again, hope is a choice. As I was planning for this episode, I read this story about the adversity that Christopher Reeve experienced when he became paraplegic after a devastating horseback riding accident in 1995. He could have chosen to lose all hope in his life. And admittedly, he shares that he had some really dark moments. However, ultimately, he chooses hope. And that hope, his collection of goals, agency, and a whole lot of willpower, created not just the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation, which has the mission of advancing the quality of life for and finding a cure for people living with spinal cord injuries. But he managed to take that willpower and use his desire to do more to continue to live his life, even though he was paraplegic. Hope is a choice for all of us. We can choose hope. We must choose hope. It's vital that we do so. It literally makes all the difference in the world. How do we do that? How do we choose hope? Taken from the article, 10 Ways to Keep Hope Alive in Hard Times. Of course, the link will be in the show notes. Here are 10 ways to practice building inner strength and therefore hope. Express your feelings. You can do this in sharing with a friend or a family member, any loved one, or write your feelings down. Acknowledge them. Don't judge them. Getting the negative feelings out helps you release them. I promise you it won't make them bigger. And once you've released them, shift your focus to something that you feel is more positive. This will increase your level of hope. Look for hope. Hope is all around us. It is in the kindness and possibilities we see in others. What you focus on, you'll find. So choose to look for hope. Cultivate optimism. I was once a tried and true pessimist. I can tell you that life is just easier and more enjoyable when you look at it with more optimism. Try it out. You may not experience fewer red lights or less traffic on your way to work, but focusing on the blue sky and the sun will just simply make you feel better when you get there. Practice gratitude. This helps with the optimism and allows you to shift your perspective, which makes you more hopeful. Look at the possibilities in your life. Are you starting to see the trend here? When you are feeling less hope, create a compelling vision for something that you want, a goal. This will shift your attention to that thing and re-engage those three elements of hope: goals, agency, and willpower. Those things that you have control over and can make choices for. Be in nature. We are all connected. And nothing is a better reminder of that than being out in nature. When possible, get outside, even if it's just a quick walk in your neighborhood. We can see the beauty of nature everywhere we go. It doesn't have to be a 10-mile hike in the middle of nowhere, although that's probably good too. Practice random acts of kindness. Remember how hope is contagious and has a ripple effect? There is no better way to increase your level of hope, as well as someone else's, than by helping another person. It doesn't matter what you do. You never know what's happening behind closed doors. Everyone has something going on in their lives. Being kind is a gift and often costs us nothing. And in that case, all the parties benefit. Self-care. This article specifies self-care as self-love. And I really love that. It's such a great idea. Give yourself the same space and grace that you would your best friend or one of your children. We are often hardest on ourselves. Your body often leads with what you need most, so listen to it. Do you need a nap? Do you need more rest? Do you need water? Do you need nurturing food? Care for yourself. Love yourself so that your level of hope is high. Then you can show up in the world at your very best. Harness faith. I wholeheartedly believe that it's just going to work out. What is it? Anything. Everything. Believe. The article says it like this: faith is knowing in our hearts, after staking claim to something, that if we keep focusing on the end result, consistently taking action to make it happen, then our hope will rise. As I was writing this episode, what really came through was the realization that all of these tips for building higher levels of hope are shifting your focus again and again to the possibilities of what your life can be, what you can do, what you want. And what that does is it creates a mindset for you that says, generally, things are going to work out for me. When you look at life knowing that things are generally going to work out, they often do. And that is the benefit. That's the reason you want to build up your level of hope and continue to strengthen it. Another way to build higher levels of hope are to find examples of hopeful people like Nelson Mandela, Katherine Johnson, who was the mathematician who inspired the film Hidden Figures, which is a fantastic movie. If you haven't seen it, I invite you to check it out. Martin Luther King Jr., Oprah, Barack Obama, and of course, as we've already seen, Christopher Reeve. Most of the people on this list experienced significant adversity at some point in their lives, and they've become well-known and successful, likely because of the skills they learned to overcome that adversity. I have no doubt that increasing their level of hope played a role in their successful lives. Maybe you also have people in your community that you'd like to have on your hopeful people list. If so, try to spend some time with them. Their level of hope is contagious, and it has a distinct ripple effect that extends out at least 3 layers. So their high level of hope improves your level of hope. And then you will also impact the people you interact with and improve their levels of hope. It's really encouraging to me to think that our actions can have such positive, far-reaching effects. Remember from our last hope episode that hope means taking action. Sometimes those actions have to include removing some of the negative influences our activities may have on us. For example, Gwinn and Helllman suggest shutting out the bad stuff, like listening to the news, either less or not at all, and or stop reading the paper, for those of you who actually still read the paper. Reject your negative self-talk. Yes, what a great suggestion by Gwinn and Helllman. We should all be doing this, rejecting our negative self-talk. We often talk about in this podcast about what you tell your brain is what your brain believes. If you want to increase your level of hope, think about what you're regularly telling yourself. What are your internal messages? Do you generally believe that things will work out? Do you believe you have the ability to take actions to reach your goals? If not, start believing and practicing that they do. One way to do this is to remind yourself of situations that have worked out in the past for you. We all experience the inevitable ups and downs in life. So find any evidence you have of when things have worked out. If you feel like you don't have lots of evidence, then begin making some by shifting into a more positive mindset. You can start really small and grow from there. As we're wrapping up today's episode, take a moment. How is hope showing up in your life? What do you hope for? If you feel like your level of hope is lower than you'd like, these two questions will help you focus on finding more hope. Please know I'm always here to help. Please reach out to me if you need some additional support, would like me to come speak to your organization or school, or would like to be a guest on the show. There's a link in the show notes for how to reach me, or go directly to my website at locatecoaching.com. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to today's episode on diving deeper into hope. Hope is a choice, and there are easy ways to build your level of hope. The benefits are far too great not to try. I appreciate you sharing these episodes. This podcast is a powerful resource for anyone that is looking to make changes in their lives. Please help me grow by sharing, liking, and subscribing. There will be new episodes on the second and fourth Wednesday of every month. I promise that in every episode, I'm going to show up and help support you in your individual journey. If I can give you any additional support or you'd like to be a guest on the show, please email me at info@locatecoaching.com. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you soon.